It's heartbreaking when you look at a child who feels like they have absolutely no hope for the future. You start to just wonder, like, what happened to that young mind to make them give up before life really even started? I know that I was one of those kids, and most of the viewers that I think watch this channel, listen to this channel, I think most of us were those kids, were those children. And I think I can speak for most of us when I say that most children naturally look forward to growing up, expecting the world to be a big adventure. But when that expectation is missing, it starts to feel like a glitch in the way how things are supposed to work. They're just not what we expected. It makes you think about how much our early surroundings actually shaped the map of our entire lives. And that's not something that most people tend to think about on a daily basis. We just kind of say, "Oh yeah, that happened to me," and that's just the past. But it's not. That's actually us, a part of us. We all enter this world completely blank, and we're just ready to absorb whatever environment we're dropped into. Like that's just how everything is programmed. And if that environment is just filled with darkness, then darkness becomes the baseline for what we believe is real. It's crazy to think about, or strange, I have to say, how we build our whole lives on the understanding of a reality that was just based on those few early years. I read an article somewhere back in the day, a few years ago. And I think the article was trying to infer that at about the age 7 or 8, that child's personality and who they are and their mindset is kind of like it's locked in there. But if our lives are just based off of those early moments, that means that our perspective of the future is not actually a fact, but it's just a habit of thinking. We create a story in our head about what tomorrow should look like, what it should feel like, everything about it just based off of entirely what happened today. And when you do that, it's like there's no way how you consider reality because you're always just reflecting the past. If yesterday was painful and that's all you're going off of, then tomorrow just will seem like more of the same. And that type of thinking locks a person in a very tight, invisible cage that they made themselves. They're just a prisoner of their own minds. Then it starts to make you like kind of think a little bit in this like weird type of way like that it makes you think that like reality or it makes you realize that hope is not just a happy feeling, but it's necessary. It's a necessary tool for survival. Without that hope, time just seems like it just stops moving forward. Like it seems like everything is just a heavy weight just pressing down on you. But time is just gonna keep moving forward. It's like whether we want it to or not. And I think that's really the scary part about it when we reflect on our past, it kind of makes us feel a little hopeless. That constant ticking of time is just showing us that like reality doesn't really care about our personal stories. At least that's what it feels like. And I don't want to make it depressing. I just want to be very reflective in my thoughts. But it's like the physical world just keep going along. Like it has its own like strict set of rules and rhythms. Like the sun is gonna rise, it's gonna set, the season's gonna change, and it's like life is just moving in an endless circle. And when you actually look closely, you start to notice that everything in nature is just like full of these repeating patterns, from like a shape of a snowflake to like the way how a tree grows. Those patterns are everywhere. And our minds, they're also built to look for these patterns so we can make sense of all the chaos. Like we look at the stars and connect dots and see like constellations and pictures that aren't really there. We do the same thing with the clouds. Like, yo, that cloud looks like a dragon. That one looks like a dandelion. And we're both looking at the same cloud. Like craziness. But then that also makes me think that if we do that with just random patterns, then we do the same thing with our lives, the same exact thing, just connecting separate events to create a narrative that never really existed. So if a child is only experiencing bad events, then their mind is connecting those dots into a picture that's just awful, if anything tragic. The self-talk that a child will have, it would just probably be crazy inside. Is like they see a pattern of failure and just assume that that pattern could probably never be broken. But a pattern is just a description of the past. It's not a literal command on what's supposed to happen in the future. It's just crazy or fascinating, like how the mind, no matter what mind it is, can just get trapped in its own perception. Even like someone as young as a child that's not even like 7 or 8 years old. Because deep down, like we're all just pockets of awareness, just trying to figure out what meaning actually exists, or like we all take light, sound, touch, and our brains translate it into something that's just a personal experience for us. So it's like we're trying to pull the meaning out of it in some type of way. So the world sees, like we see the world as like a complete manufactured thing on the inside of our heads. And if the mind is something that's just manufactured, then the mind could be a manufactured prison of hopelessness. And honestly, it's like it should always be able to build. And I think the mind always builds. And the last thing you want to do is just build a prison for it. And I'm saying all of that, yet changing the inner landscape is one of the hardest things a human being could ever try to do. That requires us looking at our deepest fears and just realizing that they might just be illusions that we gotten used to. It brings up the question of, where does meaning actually come from in the first place? Is meaning just something that's just out there in the universe waiting to be discovered, waiting for us to discover it? Or is it just something that we actively have to invent every single day? And that's what keeps us alive. At least that's what it feels like. If the universe is just empty space and rocks, then it doesn't inherently like care about our joy or our sorrow. That thought, like I said before, it could be very terrifying, but it's always going to be like a liberating thought, because that means that you're actually free. It means that if there was no pre-written meaning, we were never trapped by a bad destiny in the first place. A child that has no hope is operating off a belief that their sad story is already written in stone. But if reality is fluid, that stone hasn't been carved yet. Every single moment is actually just a tiny pathway, a doorway that could potentially start something great, but we just get so blinded by the old patterns that we stop looking for that doorway. And maybe the secret to breaking the cycle is just to notice that we're the ones that's actually holding the pen. Even if those first couple chapters, those first couple pages of that book was terrible, the next few pages, the next few chapters are still blank. It's like, as a human, like you just have to wonder if like the human consciousness, like I always say in all these videos, if it's just trying to understand itself through like the different eyes, through our eyes, and we're just experiencing the same thing on a more personal level through the universe and through other people. And if all that is true, that just means that every sad child and every happy child is just a different version of that same awareness. We're all just pieces, like I said, down from like the ants, the worms, the birds, the humans, the sharks, the fish. We're all just interconnected pieces of this big puzzle that's just slowly trying to put itself together. If the universe is learning through us, then does that mean that even our deepest despairs is serving some kind of purpose that we can't see yet? If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. And if you can, just try to hype up the video for me. It just pushes in the algorithm and stuff like that. And yeah, that's it. That being said, metal like being, like gang, Squaw. Peace, family.